Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Knockdown Sports Radio, courtesy of Knockdown Media. And I am Chris Calicut, and I am joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Mr. Cody T. What's up, buddy?
Man, what's up, dude? Good to see your face made for radio again, as is mine, but that's besides the point. Man, we're here to have a good time. Special World Cup edition coming up today, as you know, I'm excited about. Along with a few topics to get a little serious, man. I just love shooting the crap with you and having a good time. So go ahead and tell the people where they can follow us, and then we'll do our countdown, man.
All right, guys. If you're following us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up on the video. You can hit the subscribe button on there as well. Hit the little ring-a-ding button on there that tells you when we're going live. But before we do all that, I wanted to thank the people, Cody. Because last week's episode with Sean Ross Sapp, big shout out to my man over at Futbol.com, was our most viewed episode since we've returned by a large margin, and also our biggest episode since we were back on the Roar app, if you guys can remember that from like 3 years ago. So, I mean, we were getting some decent numbers back then because we were doing it every week, and we were, bang, bang, bang. We tried some new things, and it went really well, but unfortunately, life happens. Took a little time off, but we're back on the saddle again, ladies and gentlemen, and we had a fantastic show, fantastic numbers for last week's show, and a lot of that thanks over to Sean Ross Sapp at Futbol.com. But if you don't subscribe already and would like to, you can find us in several places. Number one, that's Twitter. Hold on, Twitter. We're not going to count this one here. We're not counting it. We're not counting it. All right.
You misled me, bro.
I know. I swerved you just a little bit. A little wrestling term for you guys. I swerved you just a hair. But if you can find us on Twitter at Knockdown _ Media. That is Knockdown _ Media. And you can also find us on the following platforms where podcasts are sold. Well, for free, of course. And that is iTunes.
1.
Google Play.
2.
Stitcher.
3.
TuneIn.
4.
And iHeartMedia. Well, what's that mean, Cody?
That is 5 places for 5 stars, people. Let's go. Make us popular. We're ready to go. 5 places, 5 stars. Make it happen.
Now, see, don't be a hater. 4 stars, just not cool. I mean, we appreciate that you think we're slightly above average, but, don't be a hater. And
but Chris, can we mention that we got haters from the last show, which is what we want also. So we're okay with it.
That was fantastic. We did have a couple of guys call us out about our Lonzo Ball take, which I stand firmly planted on our Lonzo Ball take.
Proven firmly planted on when he wasn't signed to the summer league team. But that's for a different episode. Episode.
I mean, dude probably thought LiAngelo was going to be a first-round pick. Dude thought Lonzo was going to be like a long-time starter in the NBA. No. I will give Lonzo Ball this, and I argued this with our friend that I forget his Twitter handle now, but he does have good numbers. He was averaged like 12, 7, 5, and 5, which is a really solid, really solid down-the-line stat sheet, right? But if you look at his free throw percentage, it's like 45%. Free throws. A point guard.
He's an assist master. Point
he's
guard
a great
used to be assist.
Has a little bit of shake and bake, get to the hoop, yes. But if you make him past 4 feet, it ain't going in. So that's my take on Lonzo Ball.
Anyway, that's not why we're here today. But again, 5 places, 5 stars, make it happen. Me and Chris got a pretty good show lined up. Chris, let's get serious, man. Tell the people what we're talking about to start off with.
All right, guys. So here's where we're at. And I bring up this topic from a slightly personal standpoint. For those who do or do not know, I do have minor bouts of anxiety / depression. And that's due to either job stuff. Dads can get postpartum depression, apparently. That's a thing. Didn't know that. And I had a little bit after my little man was born a little over a year ago. But, all good now. But, it's a thing that people struggle with and can identify with. And I know we were talking before the show, Cody, that you have, similar feelings at some point. And even, studies show that about 1 in 5 adults have some sort of mental illness. So it's a very relevant topic. What do you think?
I agree. It really is. And the political aspect of it is that we're not doing enough, period, for anybody with mental health. There's been times where I've had to leave work just because my heart's pounding out of my chest, and I have no reason why. And my wife, being the educated woman she is, tells me, Cody, you have bad anxiety. What's wrong? And I have no idea. It happens. We also, Chris, me and you are close, and I understand you're a father. You have a hard job. Don't get me wrong. I understand why those things can happen to you. But what we're going to get into is, does it happen to the people that we least expect? The people we look up to, the people who leave the world too early, and the people who make millions of dollars. Can it happen? The answer is yes. And it's absolutely a real thing that you just can't place a marker on.
Yeah, and a main example just came out this past week, Cody. A lot of people know this guy from being the big little man, and that's Nate Robinson. Tenacious little guy. He's our height if he's lucky. He's 5'7", 5'8". I'm 5'9.5" on a good day. So he had, I would call a fairly successful NBA career, wouldn't you say, Cody?
I'd say so. Even if he didn't have the numbers from year to year, he was polarizing. He put people in the seats because he was a slam dunk champion. He was the 5'8" guy who can dunk over anybody. Mm-hmm. And he just brought passion to the sport that a lot of the other guys don't bring. He wanted to play the game of basketball. So, again, whether the numbers showed up year after year, no, they didn't. But he put people in the seats because people wanted to see Nate Robinson play.
Yeah, and to borrow a line from a friend of the program, Bomani Jones, of course he's a friend of the program, he's a stay-ready all-star. And by that I mean homeboy was ready to throw down if he got stood up to. He did not care if he was 5'8". He had little man syndrome. He basically was ready to fight for what he thought was his. And a lot of that not only was on the court with his fellow players, but stories are coming out now that was with his coaching staff, primarily Larry Brown and also Tom Thibodeau to an extent. But Larry Brown would call him on multiple occasions, according to Robinson, a little bleep. And then apparently Robinson went to Brown's office one day to discuss the name calling because he didn't appreciate it. And he came into his office crying, and then he called it to him again in front of the locker room and then told the locker room that he cried about it. Now, that doesn't reflect so well on Larry Brown, but do you think that being name-calling / bullying / whatever, do you think that should be necessarily accepted as part of that culture? Or do you think we should be reprimanding Larry Brown and he should have been acting in a more professional manner?
Well, I hate to compare the two, but I have to talk about how my dad would speak to me when I was younger. He would call me a little S word.
Yeah, that's the word I was going for. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing, but it's a different understanding depending on where you're at. I'm sorry. I understand you might be trying to motivate somebody. I understand you might be trying to make that person better, but you're a professional at this point. You are Larry Brown, who has went through the death penalty, has went through, NBA championship, NCAA championship. When I say death penalty, he went back to SMU with the basketball team who was struggling from football, of course. But that's my thing is that, do I think Nate shouldn't have took it so hard? Yeah, I do, because you're a grown-ass man. That's besides the point, to where if you're doing all you can do and then you get called out in front of a group of people, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with getting called out in front of a group of people no matter what, whether you're 40 years old or you're 10 years old. If you want to call somebody a little S word, like my dad did with me, you bring you to the side, stop being a little blank, and do your job. If he did that on the court and it was like, Nate, you're being a little crap, do your job, that's different than, guys, everybody, Nate Robinson came in here and started crying. He's a little crap. It's totally different. But again, Larry Brown, when he was coaching, and it's kind of like how everything's going on in the world right now, he coached in a different time to now, which I don't agree with. You have to adapt with the times, but it does not surprise me at all.
No. And here's the thing for me, too, is Nate Robinson has solid career numbers. He had a 10-year NBA career before he got sent to the likes of, I think, Venezuela and Israel, I believe, are the two places that he's played in the last 2 years. But he was a solid active player from 2005 to 2016 and averaged about 11 points a game. So, pardon me, folks. I've been yelling at children all day, so a little frog in the throat. But his three-point percentage was constantly in the mid to high 30s, sometimes over 40%. He was always a decent field goal percentage guy, 35 to 50%. And that's going to be about what you have in a guy like Nate Robinson, because he was not necessarily a point guard. See, my problem growing up is I had a decent jump shot, right? But I was always one of the smaller kids on the team, so they wanted me to play point guard. Unbeknownst to the coaches, ball handling was not my strong suit. Set me up on the wing, fellas. And that's the thing with Nate Robinson. He was not an assist guy. His career high average in assist was 4.5. That's decent, but for a flagship NBA point guard, that's kind of low. But 11 points, a couple of assists per year, a couple of rebounds. He was a solid rebounder for a guy his size and would just get there and scrap. I mean, he was sort of a glue guy, that energy guy that people really wanted to root for, sort of the underdog type to an extent. So you would think he had it good. Now, sort of piggybacking off his numbers, you look at his contracts. His biggest contract year was 2011 and 12 with the Oklahoma City Thunder, which also coincides with one of his least productive seasons in the league. And his contract was $4.5 million that year. Now you equate that to today's money, where all these max contracts are $45, $50 million a year. $4.5 million is not much to sneeze at. But he was constantly getting 1, 2, 3, 4. Never got, like I said, over 4.5, but averaged somewhere in the ballpark of $1.5 million to $2 million per year. Now, tell me you're in these NBA cities. He spent probably better than half of his career in these large markets. He spent 4 seasons with the Knicks, a season with the Celtics, season with the Bulls, another season with the Celtics, and then he was in LA for a bit. Now, yes, he did have the couple seasons with the Thunder, the Warriors and the Bulls and the Pelicans toward the end, but these are larger markets that have that love and attention for him, and he's making this money. How can one be, quote unquote, depressed when you're also, quote unquote, living the dream?
Well, and that's what I was talking about my wife with. I mean, there's many things that can go in. First off, mental illness is not something to screw around with.
Correct.
No one knows what you were feeling. Chris, if you didn't come on the show today and say anything and people don't know you from Adam, they would never know anything about you. You're here. We're trying to have fun and doing everything we can. You're married to a great woman. You have a great kid, a great house. What could you be depressed about? But that's the thing. There's always the backlog of stuff in people's mind that people don't know about. And I think that's where it gets serious, is that part of the conversation is Anthony Bourdain, the guy from CNN who world-renowned chef, traveled all around the world, hung out with Obama during one of his conversations, living the dream. Depression. He committed suicide. There's so much stuff that we can't say that we know about these people. But one of my questions to my wife is my thing is yes, you're a millionaire. Yes, you can buy any car and any house you want. But what responsibility comes with being a millionaire is that everyone around you wants something. They don't want you. They don't want to spend time with you. They want to spend time with you because you're rich. And that can weigh heavy on somebody. So not to say that's what is happening with everybody, because you will never know, because mental illness is never going to be solved in this country.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of a very popular athlete, that has to be something that weighs on you. Like, man, like, I love this person. I love that person. They were my best friend growing up. I mean, it'd be like you, Chris, if you were rich and I was like, yo, Chris, man, you've been my best friend since like middle school. You want to fork a brother over $10,000. I mean, that would weigh on you because you thought I was your real friend. And not to say that that's what leads to it, but you can't tell me that that doesn't affect you in some type of way.
Absolutely. And I want to bring up something real quick just so we hit it. And that is, if anybody listening to this particular program has any issues like that or is thinking about even the worst. I mean, I hate to get super dark on this program because we're about to have a lot of fun, but I think this is absolutely worth mentioning, and that's the suicide prevention hotline.
I agree, man.
And the number for that, if you want to jot it in your phone, scribble it down if you're listening on the radio or on the laptop or something, that is 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255. And Cody, this is why we're here, man. And we talked a little bit with Sean. We had a really good sort of stats-centric sports show last week, and it did, again, amazing numbers, and thanks everybody for listening. But when we brought this back and we had our little talk about what we wanted to be sort of the central topic of the show, it's those social issues around sports that I think could either be relevant to average Joes like you and me or anybody that would be listening. And I think just this type of subject is something that is worthy of being on our show. And it also proves that money ain't everything, right? So, again, I classified us as average Joes, but we live an okay life for ourselves and our family.
Yep.
But we're not Nate Robinson rich. We're not NBA rich, probably never will be. But we're still fairly happy, although we have our issues as well. But it proves that money isn't everything. Money can't buy happiness. Can money buy things? Can money buy people? Absolutely. But it cannot always buy happiness. And I think with being an NBA player who was trying to live up to his coach's expectations, whether he agreed with them or not, just sort of weighed on Nate Robinson. And just the pressures of being this popular, undersized guy who had all this good rapport with the fans, that he had pressure to perform. And in his last 2 years, he did not hardly start any games, and he averaged like 2 points a game. He fell off significantly after 2014. So now we're seeing him overseas and in South America doing these basketball leagues. And a lot of reason, and I'll give him credit for this, he's also now in the Big Three. Was it Ice Cube's league?
Yep.
On Fox Sports. He's also on that. He's trying to make his NBA comeback he's only 34. So can he probably win a dunk contest right now like he did a few times? Probably not. But can he still be a solid role player on an NBA team that needs him? I would say so. I say give the dude one more shot, especially now that he seems to be doing okay with his mental health issues, or at least is trying to work through them.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Even in every sport, you're always looking for someone who can be a leader in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
Nate's been there. I mean,
and I mentioned him being a Stay Ready All-Star. If you watched the Big Three last week,
yeah,
he was ready to throw hands, I think, with Rashad McCants of all freaking people. I think Nate took a dessert away from Rashad McCants, and you don't take a dessert away from Rashad McCants, apparently, not these days. Well, he looking a little fluffy.
Well,
but
yeah, but my thing is that back to the topic at hand is that we have a very serious issue
mm-hmm.
that no one's going to touch on. Let's be real. It's never going to be touched on because it's like taboo for some reason.
Yeah.
And I mean, Kevin Love came out about stuff like this.
Mm-hmm. I thought his piece was extremely thought-provoking and very well spoken.
Yeah.
So Google that one too.
I mean, so you have two polarizing names, and Nate Robinson is a polarizing name because of what we saw him do at his size. Kevin Love, great player with the Timberwolves, who then came over and won a championship with LeBron. Polarizing. Kevin Love is a polarizing name. But
here's another one for you.
Go ahead.
Michael Phelps.
Yes, he recently came out. You're right. And who is the most successful Olympic athlete to ever grace our presence?
Yep. I mean, he's got medals upon medals, and the pressure got to him. And apparently now he's clean and sober from a lot of bad things that he got dumped into, basically, when battling with depression. And now he's got a little boy and a wife that he is happy with. And just rolling down the line of some other successful names that have came out about their mental issues and emotional issues. That's Hall of Famer Jerry West. Then you have Brandon Marshall, who is really a good spokesman for the NFL, who sort of stood on a platform in a sense to go out and help charities and that kind of thing with his battles. And, the list goes on from WNBA players to former Olympians to even tennis players. Back in our world, Marty Fish, who was once one of the top Americans and, more or less went to several round of 16s or better at Grand Slams. So it hits everybody.
Yeah.
If it can hit these guys who are making these dollars, living these types of lives, you don't need to feel bad about yourself. And to sort of wrap things up, it's okay to ask for help, guys. It really is. So hopefully we didn't darken this thing too much. I do see that we do have some live listeners, and I appreciate that. And thank you guys for hanging out with us and sort of rolling through that with us. But you know what, Cody? The Copa Mundial is on, or excuse me, hold on. The Copa Mundial is en fuego.
Where did you learn that is my next question.
That was completely off the dome piece, my friend.
Yeah, but that's what's up. But yeah, again, real quick, you're right. Don't judge anybody. Don't, reprimand anybody. It happens. Now we're going to have some fun. The serious stuff is over. But remember, it is serious. But Chris, let's have some fun because it is the most wonderful time of every 4 years.
The Olympics.
The World Cup.
Oh, my bad.
The World Cup is here.
My bad.
We are in Russia, home of Vladimir Putin, who somehow has ended up being one of the best World Cups per se in a long time. It took until
I wouldn't say Putin did it, but
I ain't saying Putin did it, but I ain't saying that people wasn't involved to help Putin do it. Before the FIFA scandal was all over. But the thing is just starting off with a big stat to start off with. The only tournament that has went without a 0-0 tie was 1954. Okay? Every game scored at least a goal. This thing started 3 weeks ago, and up until yesterday, between Denmark and France, there was no 0-0 ties. This has been a tournament of goals, and it has been fantastic to watch. I mean, we're talking 6-2 with England. We're talking 5 goals from other teams. It has been a ridiculous tournament. But this is where the big news comes in. Let's just go ahead and straight to it. Today, the defending champions, Germany, they were knocked out of the World Cup.
And that reminds me, I need to talk about that with a German friend of mine at work and see how he enjoyed that. But that is some big news, Cody. The defending champions are no more.
Yeah, and I forgot to do something. Hold on.
Oh, all right. It is a popular topic, so pop the top, ladies and gentlemen. If you're listening, if you're not driving, of course, you can pop the top of a cerveza, of a Yingling, a Leinenkugel,
This is the only stuff that Chris has ever tried.
More or less.
But anyway.
Pepsi, if you so desire. Yeah, so tell us about the Copa Mundial 2018, Cody.
Well, it's been, again, one of the best tournaments in terms of goals. Touching on Germany real quick. 4 out of the last 5 World Cups. Only out of the 4 out of the last 5 World Cups, there's only been one team that make it through, and that was Brazil. Every time someone wins a World Cup, they lose in the group stage, except for Brazil. So there's that. So it's not uncommon, but everyone's freaking out because Germany just swept last year during the warm-ups to the World Cup. So we got that going for us, but it's been a very, let's say, emotional World Cup. Let's put it that way. To where,
you mean all the flopping and crying, or
I was talking more along
getting sent to the hospital after his mental breakdown?
I was talking more along the lines of Iceland.
Nigeria? Can we do Nigeria?
No, we can't do Nigeria.
Are they gone?
They're gone.
No, the kids are gone?
Yeah. Well, Iceland and Nigeria was in the same bracket as our same group as Argentina and Croatia. So they left early.
That's like the semi-group of death then.
Well, let's go to the group of death, Chris. Me and you discussed this before the show. This is about to get World Cup heavy because I love soccer. But the group of death to me was dubbed Group F. That was Sweden, South Korea, Mexico, and the people who are out, Germany.
Well, so here's my deal with that particular group.
Okay.
Is there's no scrubs, and you have Germany, the defending champs, but really there's nobody that was like head and shoulders above the rest. I mean, I guess you could say the other teams overperformed slightly, or Germany underperformed, but there really aren't any scrubs in that group, so it's almost not surprising that Germany could be gone.
This is true. Here's the thing. Out of the first 2 games, because you get 3 games in each group,
I'm glad you're explaining it for the people because most of our viewers probably just turn the podcast off.
Oh, yeah. Leslie's upstairs. She just turned it off. She doesn't care. But that's the thing. Mexico won their first 2 games. They're atop of the group. Going into the last game, they could have been knocked out of the World Cup.
That's crazy.
If Germany would have won today and beat South Korea, with Mexico losing to Sweden, it'd have been Germany and Sweden. Not
Vamos
Sweden
El Tri.
El Tri. That's the thing. El Tri, they are passionate. We're going to get to the knockout stages here in just a moment because it might be over. But that's the thing. Your big surprises so far in the World Cup, Russia, who is ranked towards the bottom of the countries in the World Cup. Of course, they get the automatic bid being the host country.
You know, strings could be pulled. I mean, he was talking to the Saudi Arabian president. He was talking to, lots of funny business going on there in Russia.
This is true. But they beat Egypt, who had Mohamed Salah, who is the Liverpool outstanding player, probably one of the best players in the
may
tournament.
Be my new favorite player, one of them.
Yeah, Salah is freaking fantastic. But then again, it gets to the point where Uruguay, with my boy Luis Suarez, champion, Uruguay won the group, won all 3 games. We're going to go to Group B. Your 2 teams that advanced out of that are Spain and Portugal, as if anyone had a doubt, even though Iran really tried to show up. They had Spain and Portugal with 5 points each, Iran with 4. It was a really close group. We're going to go to Group C. France and Denmark are out. That's why they had the tie today, because no one really cared who won that game. Almost the most surprising group, especially when Iceland drew Argentina. Lionel Messi.
I was watching that game, and it was fantastic.
They drew Iceland, whose country is not bigger than our state in terms of population.
NCFC did drew with Argentina.
Yeah, that's my thing. Iceland drew with Argentina. Like, holy crap. So the thing is, Croatia won every game in that group. They beat Argentina, Nigeria, and Iceland. Argentina couldn't even beat Iceland.
I love how passionate Cody is right now. It's hilarious. I love it.
Well, it's Lionel Messi. It's Lionel Messi.
You even did like the double S with the Z. That's impressive.
Well, that's the thing. So, I digress. Group D was a crap show. Group E, a little bit easy. Brazil and Switzerland, no problems there. Costa Rica let the CONCACAF down.
Did they ever? No, wait. No, that was Panama. My apologies.
6-1, England. Anyway, moving on. Group F, we already talked about that. Sweden and Mexico going in. The two groups that have yet to punch their tickets, technically speaking, England and Belgium play tomorrow for the 1 and 2 position out of Group G. They play each other tomorrow. And then in Group H, you have 3 teams still in the running for it. You have Senegal, Colombia, and Japan. Japan's at 1 with 4 points, Senegal at 2 with 4, and Colombia at 3. Colombia and Senegal play each other tomorrow. So Colombia basically controls their own fate with them being one of the most popular teams in the World Cup. They may not get out of the group stage. So
that would not be great for ratings, I would assume. But what I'm sad about, honestly, is there's no more Ahmed Musa from Nigeria.
You know, all these random people that I don't know all of a sudden. Like, how is this happening?
Dude, the haircut, the strikes, it's my boy. It's my boy.
Yeah, but so basically what it looks like in your brackets. First of all, let me go back. England or Belgium, depending who wins, is going to face either Japan, Senegal, or Colombia. Those are your people who have not been determined yet.
Okay.
There's basically one game. We got Uruguay and Portugal. It's going to be a good game. Luis Suarez versus Cristiano Ronaldo. France and Argentina. Messi's probably pissed by now. So I have
France has been laying eggs all week. So.
Spain and Russia. Spain should win that game. This is going to be a good game. Croatia and Denmark. And then Switzerland and Sweden. Those are your locked-in games right now. But here's the big one, Chris. And
I'm ready.
These are 2 teams that we should know that's going to put a big game on the world stage on Monday at 10 a.m., I hope. Brazil and Mexico.
Ooh. That feels 3-1 Brazil to me.
My thing is that the
2-1.
winner
Give me 2.
the winner of this game, possibly. Mexico's a little banged up, and they don't have the stamina that I feel like all the other teams have with other players playing in like your major divisions. The winner of this game could very much win the World Cup. I'm going to say it.
So you're giving Mexico a shot, is what you're saying.
I am giving Mexico a shot. El Tri has been one of the most impressive teams in this World Cup.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce my co-host. His name is Landon Donovan.
Oh God!
If you can't root for USA, vote for. It's like it was a political ad. Like vote for our friends in Mexico. I'm like, all right. So here's my thing about that, real quick. So if you weren't watching the World Cup or commercials beforehand, USA former standout Landon Donovan did a commercial for Wells Fargo, pretty much saying "Go Mexico." And America's players who are not currently at the World Cup were not very thrilled. Even Hector, excuse me, is it Hector Gomez?
Yeah.
Who is of Mexican nationality, or at least partially, said, "You're an idiot. Go America." I'm like, ugh. That was not the best of looks for Landon, but I'm sure the paycheck cleared, so he's okay with it.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much of a problem, but my thing is that Mexico's been the most inspiring team that's advanced except for Russia. Russia's fans thought that they wouldn't even win a game. Nonetheless, advanced.
Russians are pessimists.
Well, that's the thing. But my thing is that the teams to watch for now that Germany is out, the winner of that France-Argentina game, they have a good chance. My pick's still coming from the Brazil-Mexico game because Neymar needs to make a name for himself. Other than that, I still think my initial pick, whether it's said on here or not, whether anyone believes me, my initial pick's always been England to win this thing, and I'm sticking with that. So We'll see.
And I was over here
round
saying
16.
France for the up and coming, and they're not looking so hot.
Yeah, I think a pissed off Lionel Messi is really going to mess things up for France. So,
Yeah,
and then,
probably.
which could put a wait for it, a Ronaldo, Lionel Messi quarterfinal.
Ooh, okay.
If both Portugal and Argentina win. So
that's quite the old ratings grab there in the quarters, no less.
That's what the world wants right there.
Yeah, that's true. And unfortunately, with these group stages, you kind of can't pinpoint where people are going to land in the knockout round. So it's not like it's say in tennis or something like that you can kind of like, all right, I'm going to put this person over here. I'm going to put that person down there. Okay, we're going to have them meet in the semifinals, and we're going to get the big number. Can't really do that in the World Cup.
Nope, the World Cup is all drawn almost like every other cup competition. Even in America with the U.S. Open Cup, everything is done with a draw out of a bucket. So that's what we got going on. That's where we end up. Chris, real quick, my pick is England to win the World Cup. What is yours? Before we move on to the
am I going to have to give up my France pick? Is that what I'm going to have to do right now? Probably.
If you don't want to give up France, don't give up France.
Man, Argentina's not going to do anything. I don't care. They've played like crap the whole tournament. I think they're just going to skirt by and probably get knocked out fairly soon. I'm going to go with a factor that you brought up from that Brazil-Mexico game. I'm going to give Brazil the advantage in that one. And I think that's going to propel them for redemption for not winning theirs 4 years ago.
It's a good pick, man. I can't argue with that. It is possible that depending on where England ends up, if they win the group, let me double check my groups here. Oh yeah, this could be good. If England wins the group and they play somebody in the H group, they'll probably win that game, no problem. We could have listen to this. On one side of the quarterfinal in the top, the bottom's going. I don't even care about the bottom anymore. Now I'm looking at this. This is all fresh to me. In the quarterfinal of the top half of the bracket, you can have Portugal versus Argentina and Brazil versus England.
Are we sure that's not the semifinals? Are we sure?
No, that is the quarterfinals.
I know.
But a possibility for the quarterfinals.
Dear God, that's pretty impressive. Not gonna lie, that'll be some appointment viewing. Unfortunately, mid to late morning on days that I typically work, but we're gonna try to figure out. See, so funny thing. At my current office, I have a ceiling fan in my little office, and I also have a television, and they are wired in the same outlet. So I have to, in order to watch the television, turn the ceiling fan on, and vice versa. But I do, thank God, have a control to said television. But to watch one, I have to do the other. So I'll be chilling, literally, with the ceiling fan and also watching the World Cup.
Yeah. Real quick, bottom half of the bracket, the quarterfinals I'm going to pick is like Spain versus Croatia and Sweden versus either Colombia or Japan. I'm not even worried about the winners coming out of the upper half of this bracket that I'm looking at. Your winner's either going to be Portugal, Argentina, Brazil, or England coming out of the top half of the bracket.
Japan's winning it all. You heard it here first.
Whatever, man. So, Chris, here's the thing. We're winding down a little bit, but Chris, I thought of some questions about the World Cup.
Did you?
I did. And I've been looking forward to this segment for 2 days since you said I was planning this script.
It's called production delegation, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's called.
What I have decided is I thought of 8. Some of them have 2 parts to them.
Okay.
8 questions that I asked my wife.
And
then I'm going to ask you.
Okay. So, all right, couple quick things.
Yeah.
How many did he get?
Oh, I think I told. Let's see. She got 1. No, man, we're just going to do this at the end, man.
I got to have a goal, man. I got to have a goal.
All right. So
we got to build the suspense here.
1. 2.
I'm already scared.
I gave her a half on this one because I'll give you a half if you get it.
Okay, we're 2.5.
And a half on that one.
Okay, that's 3.
She got 3.
So my 3 total.
My last two questions are like halves because I wrote them wrong and she called me out on it. So
hey, yeah, I would give her a half point for that for calling you out. But so all right, so she got 3.
She got 3.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, on your podcast viewing, please make your wagers now. Cody, or excuse me, Chris, and I think I just froze for a second. So Chris or Leslie, and I'm gonna set my over under. If she got 3, I'm gonna set my over under at 3.5.
Ooh.
So make your picks, guys.
Ballsy.
Here we go.
All right. You ready?
No Google involved. Hands off the keyboard.
Hands off the keyboard, man. I trust you.
I can ask Siri real quick. But you know, whatever. Go ahead.
Chris, there has been 20 World Cups.
Mm-hmm.
How many countries have won the World Cup?
Is this like a within 2 type of question, or do I have to nail it on the head?
I'm basically doing the closest without going over with you and Leslie.
Closest without going over. So 20 World Cups. How many different countries have won the World Cup?
Yes, sir.
14.
No.
Way off, aren't I?
Way off.
Like 6?
8.
8.
There has been 8 countries that have won. Leslie got you on that one. She said 5.
Oh, okay. One zip, Leslie.
1 zip, Leslie. Oh, my God.
Jesus.
I got to make a countdown up here. All right, so Leslie got 3. Or she got 3.5.
Whoa, you said 3 a while ago. Now it's 3.5. What's going on here?
You're right. 3.
Holy smokes. Give your boy some credit.
I gotta put it on the board.
Jesus.
All right, Chris. Which team has the most World Cup victories? In terms of winning the final, which country has the most?
Need to do some. Can I call a friend? Can I do a lifeline?
I'm gonna go ahead and tell you. Leslie got this with a guess. So
I'll poll the audience. Hold on, let me check our chat real quick. Hey guys, if you're watching, brother out. All right, who has the most? Is it anybody that we have talked about on this program thus far?
That would be the one hint I give you, and the answer is yes.
Okay. Did I just pick them to win this year's World Cup?
I cannot answer that question.
Damn it. I gotta try Brazil.
You are correct.
Woo! All right, let's go. Let's go.
All right. Chris is on the board. Leslie also got that right.
Yeah. No.
All right. So your winners are Brazil has 5.
Mm-hmm.
Germany and Italy have 4.
Okay.
Argentina and Uruguay have 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then England, France, and Spain have 1.
Oh, okay.
So there you go.
Because Spain was actually going to be my number 2 guess. So there you go.
You'd have been off, bro.
Way off. So tell me.
All right.
So 2-1? 2-1?
3-1. 3-1.
No.
Remember, she has 3. She has 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, I ain't keeping track of it. That good, man. Come on.
All right, my bad. Here we go.
Who won the first World Cup? And what year? If you can get that. This is one of those 2-part questions.
Man, I should have been listening to the answers better in the last question, so I knew.
Brazil, Germany, Italy, Argentina, Uruguay, England, France, and Spain.
Ooh.
You only got 8 choices.
Yeah, I know.
This is one of those half-pointers, too. So
okay.
Make you feel better. Leslie didn't get this one. Either one of them.
Man. All right, so I'm going to go – I don't know how recently they won it. I'm going to go Spain. That's the first half. Spain. He's laughing. I'm going to go. That's a negative. All right.
Negative.
Darn it. And, all right. So
what year was the first World Cup?
20 World Cups. That's right here. 2 plus 2 divided by the 3. Carry the 1. Geez, that would make it 1938.
Close.
1942. 1930. Okay, so we skipped some years, obviously. We skipped some World Cups.
This is true. And That actually alludes to the next question.
Of course it does.
We skipped 2 World Cups,
Mm-hmm.
1942 and 1946.
Okay.
What was the major historical event that caused these 2 World Cups to be canceled?
World War II.
Hey!
Boom!
Chris is on the board. I thought I was going to get you with that one for some reason.
No, I actually know just enough history to be dangerous, so that's good.
So Leslie got back to Leslie said Brazil for number 2, by the way, for the most. Leslie's she got the numbers mixed up. Leslie said the first year of the World Cup was 1903 when it was 1930. And she said Germany won the first World Cup.
Okay, what's the correct answer then?
Oh, by the way, it was Argentina who won the first World Cup in 1930. They beat Uruguay, and Uruguay hosted the first World Cup.
Okay.
So,
Interesting.
So stats on stats on stats.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a fun one. What was the first year of the women's FIFA World Cup held? The first year.
It's got to be semi-recent, not semi-recent, but way after 1930. And then they must do it 2 years off, so those will be 2016 was their last one. 1992.
Circle gets a square on that one. I'm going to give that to you. I'm going to give that to you. Leslie said 1954. Again, just a guess.
Right. I'm sorry, Leslie. I didn't mean to laugh at that.
Even though you did go over,
mm-hmm.
Again, I'm going to go Chris Dim on this. Circle gets a square.
Oh, okay.
Answer is 1991.
One.
They do odd numbers.
Okay. Yeah. See, I thought they would go the 2 years in between. So I was thinking the even numbers like 2016 and then back. So
in terms of the battle right now, I have you and Leslie at 3-3. She is blowing up my phone saying this is BS. So there you go.
Oh God!
This is another 2-part question because she called me out on this. She got half of this right.
Mm-hmm.
She got half of this right, and I might count up how y'all did in terms of closest after this.
Okay.
First half of this question, and then we'll address the second half.
I'm ready.
Which country had the highest average attendance of any World Cup?
Mexico.
No.
Mm.
Nope.
Mm.
Answer to that was the United States of America in 1994.
Okay. I was thinking with Azteca, it seats about 100,000. I didn't probably think about the secondary markets, but that's the reason I went with Mexico. But okay, completely understandable there.
So this is the part that she got right, and I'm going to ask you the second part of this question.
Okay.
What was the highest attended game in World Cup history so far? Where was it located? Which country?
Okay. So nothing to do with really part A of the question necessarily.
This is true. The game that had I can't even tell you the game, but which country had the highest attendance at one particular stadium during their World Cup?
Okay, so I'm going to go back to my original answer to Azteca. It's got to be Mexico, right?
False.
What?
Yep. You ready?
No, go ahead.
Brazil.
Uh-huh.
They had an attendance at their, I forget the name of it. I don't have it pulled up, but 171,772.
Holy smokes.
Which blew Azteca out by 70,000.
Right, because I knew Azteca sat 100,000, but I just want to know who built the 170,000 seat stadium or how that was laid out and how they actually counted the attendance.
That game
because it's probably much like their Olympic history in a little bit of ruins right now.
The game was in 1950, Chris, so there was probably not a lot of, let's say, OSHA.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that. And probably, not a whole lot of digital ticket takers at that time to bring in the tickets as they walked in.
Well, in terms of Brazil and soccer being its own religion in that country.
Well, that's fair.
There was probably people standing on top of people on top of people.
Probably.
So.
Okay.
All right,
All right,
we're
so
there. We're there. So,
how many more questions we got?
One.
Oh no, this is now or never because we're still tied, aren't we?
In terms of technicality, yes. In terms of closeness, in terms of the answers without going over, Leslie's winning, but I'm going to give you this chance, all right?
All right.
What is the best finish of the United States of America in the World Cup?
Finals. Second place.
No, I'm sorry.
We haven't won one, have we?
We haven't. We haven't.
They've only made it to the semis?
Yes, sir.
Damn.
And guess who got that question right?
No.
Yep, she did. She wins the game.
Oh my God. So you just changed the rules halfway through so your wife won. I get it. That's fine.
I do. I did not. I did not.
Oh man.
I had a second half of that question to break
because I was thinking we got to the finals in the 90s. But we made it to the semis, what, 2 cups ago? 3 cups ago?
No.
No?
No. That was the like the warm-up games to the World Cup. I forget the name of them all of a sudden.
Gold Cup stuff?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
Oh, well, it's okay. It's okay. I'm a loser. It's fine, you know.
But to answer your question, highest they've ever finished is 3rd.
Okay.
And you got that?
I've got it. I'm listening.
The highest they finished was 3rd, and it was in the very first World Cup in 1930. So
Leslie just texted me.
Yes, she did. She is still listening for some reason. So the 1930 part was going to be the tiebreaker of this game. And so at this point, Chris, I hate to say it, but you lost to somebody who doesn't know anything about soccer.
My humble pie is delicious. It's got a nice little ganache on top, little chocolate ganache. Apparently, I owe Leslie a bottle of wine or something at this point.
She ain't gonna argue with that.
No, I didn't figure she would. Hopefully, she likes cheap stuff. But that was good, Cody. I'm proud of you for putting that little game together. Some good, informative questions there for the people. And unfortunately, much like the United States, I came out on the short end of the stick. Yeah,
but the good news is in not the next World Cup, but the one after that, we are in no matter what. And that's all that matters.
And stated a couple of shows ago, we going.
We going.
We going. So I just wanted to encourage you guys to finish watching the World Cup because we'll probably talk a little bit about it as that concludes. But I want to talk about a fellow lefty, Cody. I'm ambidextrous or amphibious, as some might say. I play the golf left-handed. And when I say lefty, I'm not talking about Phil Mickelson, who apparently has ticked off the game of golf for running to get a putt that was going down a hill. But that's a topic for another story, for another day. But Bubba Watson. So you're familiar with Bubba, Big Bubba, right?
I am, yes. The lefty who can knock the crap out of the ball with a pink driver. Absolutely.
That's the one. And wears the visor. So pretty much unmistakable out on the golf course. But, you know, he's been going through some trying times as well. He had a terrible 2017 due to really what was still an undisclosed illness. He dropped to like 165 pounds, which he's like 6'1"-ish. So imagine a pro athlete sitting at 160. That's kind of skinny.
Yeah.
Now, recently he has rebounded with his health issue. He's back up to like the 185 range, he says. And he is back in the winner's circle, Cody. He won the Travelers Championship this past weekend. Did you by chance see any of the holes played whatsoever? Go ahead and say no.
What if I saw a few? And I don't want to say that.
That's fine.
Well, I mean, I saw a few. I saw the recap. When Bubba is Bubba, he's unbeatable. Let's put it that way. And I think me and you can both agree with that. We saw him at the Masters one time, hit it around a tree at a 90-degree angle and land on the green. I mean, he's fantastic. And
he basically hit my normal shot on purpose.
I can't. I suck at golf, so I just drink and play. But that's the thing is that
shout out to McCandless Golf Course.
Oh man, memories. But yeah, that's the thing, Bubba. Let's go ahead and touch on what we're going to be talking about. People love Bubba on the TV, but people who know Bubba's a jerk. So,
well, to an extent.
Okay.
To an extent, I think he gets a bad rap for that. I really do, because he is a notable Christian man, which some people would call makes him a jerk automatically, and that's fine. You do you. That's cool. But he's a noted Christian man who has adopted kids. He is the father of adopted children, and is married to a fellow pro athlete. So lots of charitable donations in his honor and his cause over the past however many years he's had in his career. And, he's been met with grand success. But this past week at the Travelers Championship, he took home the trophy with a nice big umbrella on it, I'm assuming, since that's the logo. But he donated a portion of his winner's check to the charity. And a lot of people are making a big deal about this. I want to see if you think it's a big deal once you crunch the numbers. The winner's purse was $1.24 million. Okay. Mm-hmm. How much of that do you think he donated, Cody?
1.4 million.
1.24.
1.24.
Mm-hmm. Like, what would be a nice gesture in your estimation?
A nice gesture from anybody is like $100K.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'll say $100K.
Bubba doubled that, my friend. He gave up $200,000 of his $1.24 million in his game check or winner's check to support the main charity that the Travelers Championship supports, and that is the Hole in the Wall Game Camp. And that is the main proprietor / beneficiary of the Travelers Championship. And it's more or less a children's charity. And with Bubba also, like I said, adopting children is a really neat cause. And I think Bubba gets a bad rap because he is a little bit of a stick in the mud sometimes, especially to the media, because he doesn't like being criticized. And honestly, who does? And could he use a little bit of media training? Yeah, probably so. But all in all, and I should have brought this out for our YouTube viewers, I have, hold on, let me see if I can find it. Give me 2 seconds. Nope, we can't find it. I do have a signed Bubba Watson glove and visor. So I may be slightly biased in my opinion. But your friends at Knockdown Sports Radio on their Twitter account several years ago, before it was like even Knockdown Sports Radio, won a Bubba Watson cap and glove. But to the question at hand, since that's like, if you break it down, 15%, he's basically just paying his waiter or waitress at the restaurant to be charitable. Do you think that's enough, or do you think that's a really good gesture and just a kind-hearted dude?
If I had to say, Chris, I think it's a fantastic gesture. I really do. It's $200,000 to any charity who probably doesn't get that much unless they're sponsored by a pro athlete. I mean, any money you give out to anybody is going to be fantastic, whether it's $1, $100, $100,000, $1 million. That's what they're there to do. They're nonprofits. They're trying to make other people's lives better. So the fact that he's given $200,000, by all means, yeah. Could he give $1 million and still be okay? Absolutely. But this is a check that he's like, all right, you know what? I don't want most of this. Well, of course he's getting most of it, but it's $200,000 that he's given to a charity. I don't care what anyone says in terms of how much, how little, what athletes should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. He gave $200,000 to a charity, and I can't even think the last time I've donated to anything. So
yeah, and
I mean that's my thing.
Yeah, and I want to clear up my fact real quick too. The Hole in the Wall Game Camp is an organization founded in 1988 by Paul Newman of note, and provides a camp experience for children facing serious illnesses. And they had 3 campers named Tyler, Carly, and Jeremy be the honorary co-chairs of the event this year. And that took the tournament total to over $2 million in total charity giving for this year's event. Now you think about all the revenue that the PGA brought in with all that, and $2 million of that goes back into the community in golf and really events in general, because the local Wyndham Championship here has a great partnership with the First Tee of the Triad and several other fantastic organizations here in North Carolina and beyond. Golf is a fantastic sport for giving back.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's one of those things where, again, if it's golf or anything else, because we know Chris Paul does a ton for the city of Winston-Salem. We know that. That is his city that he supports. But anything that supports kids is always going to be something that I'm okay with. Whether it's kids living, in poverty, kids living with mental illness issues, kids living with physical issues, anything that helps the kid out to help live their dream that they would nonetheless not have, everyone should donate to that. So whether it's $1 or $200,000, that's what this world should be about. And Bubba realizes that, yes, he's taking the home still $1 million. Who cares? He earned that money. If you're good at golf, this is what happens. But he also gave back, and that's what matters to me more than anything.
That's it, man. And kudos to Bubba for donating that $200K. And as we were saying earlier, if he needs a guy that 10K, I mean, I could take that from him if need be.
I'll take five, man.
Unfortunately, I'm not a charitable case, but I could be close. But hey, man, just to recap real quick, I know we took over some somewhat darker stuff to start off with, but with the whole depression and pro athletes thing, and anybody can have it, no matter who you are. And if you need something, don't be afraid to seek help, because that's ultimately, you basically need a helping hand sometimes. Yep. That's everybody. But we got the Copa Mundial continuing. We'll talk a little more about that in the coming weeks. And again, kudos to Bubba for the big donation to the Hole in the Wall Game Camp there in Connecticut. So want to remind you real quick of the 5 places you can find us to rate us 5 stars, and that it's iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and iHeartMedia. And you can always find us on the Twitter sphere at Knockdown _ media. That is Knockdown _ media. We try to stay on there as much as possible. I live tweet some wrestling still. Cody's, I'm sure, been doing some World Cup stuff. If he has it on his, start doing it on ours, doggone it.
I'm sorry, man. I can't help it.
But you'll see lots of good stuff from us. Hopefully some clever things. Hopefully some smart analysis, even possibly, maybe every once in a while. But hey, Cody, remind everybody where they can find you personally for that expert soccer analysis and maybe some craft beer as well.
Exactly. You can find me at CRTEAGUE008. That's CRT008 on the Twitter. Chris, we just bottled our Pale Ale this weekend, so that should be ready in about 2 weeks, and you'll probably see me tweeting about that. Yep,
and you can follow them at 2H Brewing. They do a little homebrew stuff, so 2H Brewing. Like I said, Knockdown _ media for us on the show. CRT008 for Cody and for Mr. Cody Teague. My name is Chris Callicutt, and we will see you next time on Knockdown Sports Radio.